everyone, and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, where today we're going to be taking a look at a game that was played on the Donut map. It's Project SD129 version 1.0. I pulled it up because I knew there was no chance I was going to remember that one, otherwise known as the map that looks like a giant donut floating through space. So I'm very eager to see exactly what these commanders are up to today in this, I guess I would say like Silver League mid-level match of Beyond All Reason. Very exciting stuff. Our Armada commander spawning as the red team leader for today. A commander that goes by the name of Learning to Aim. A commander name that I'm sure we can all at least relate to a little bit, right? Anybody who's familiar with shooter games anyways. I was a big CSGO fan, and also, you know, I play some Valorant here and there. It's like my comfort game. It's not very comforting, but it is a game that I can always turn to when I need to feel bad. And today, Learning to Aim is going to be our red team leader, going for some Armada bots and going to be showing us what the front line looks like. Are we on the front line? Yeah, I guess we are on the front line of this very interesting map. Now, spawning on the other side here is the blue team leader, going to be spawning also as an Armada commander. It's going to be none other than Up the Waz. I'm not sure if that's like, anyway, Up the Waz, the blue Armada commander here, going to be playing on the back line of the blue team. So that means we're going to be seeing some tech, maybe a little eco, maybe we'll even get into air, as that's very important on this map. All said and done, we'll have to keep our eyes out here to see exactly what our blue team leader does get up to. And man, look at the beauty of this map, right, with all these space crystals and everything. Hold on, let me turn on the it's kind of beautiful, right? We got these floating, I don't know, little meteorite platforms or asteroid platforms in between the donut as it continues to hurtle its way through space. I wonder if there's any astrological bodies, any atmo, what are they called? Any cosmological bodies that are donut-shaped IRL. I'm sure there's some. Those astrophysicists and whatnot, astronomers, always finding weird-shaped objects in space. Today, though, it's going to be our Cortex, Armada, and Legion commanders going to be vying for control over this very vast and empty nothingness. Couple of planes, couple of good old-fashioned Legion planes making their way around in the midsection of this map, and that is one of, if not the biggest feature of this map, is just the gigantic open midsection. In fact, we can just zoom all the way out here and take a look. As you can see, the donut. Ladies and gentlemen, the donut. So it's got this big empty section, and obviously no units can traverse in the mid-space, but there's also tons and tons of metal extractors out there, so it means air constructors are going to be very valuable to go out there and try and claim those metal extractors. As we can see right here that we've already got a con trying to capture some of the enemy airspace. Very cute to see. Going to be a little bit difficult to deal with. We'll need like bombers or something to take care of this, or a couple of gunships. Definitely unfortunate right there. Yeah, an aggressive start for the tank commander, and I kind of love it. Now, the other funny thing about this map is that there's effectively two lanes. You've got a north arbitrarily and a south arbitrarily. The green commander Salheim, and it looks like the other green commander Warner, the green and cyan green commander, is going to be working together on this side. Looks like we'll sacrifice that goblin as it makes its way across and eventually is blasted down here by that green commander, expanding very greedily forward. Now, this is designed as an FFA map, so the other interesting thing is that there's tons of metal on this map. I mean, ridiculous amounts of metal. If you get out there and you claim it, this map has probably, I want to say, like almost 1.8 times the metal we would normally see on most maps. It's very, very metal dense, so it means I'm expecting to see some tech. Well, at least theoretically, it can be very quick on this one. This is another one of those maps that I love to play on the stream, by the way. Saturdays, 12 to 4 PDT. Tuesday, Thursday was the old stream schedule.
Self-destructed.
Saturdays, 12 to 4 PDT is when we do the actual live stream nowadays, in case you're interested in joining in the shenanigans. Recently, we've been taking a look at the spaceships mod, and for those of you that are already a member of the Brightworks community, I wanted to ask, are you guys interested in a modding section of the Discord, a channel dedicated to those of you that create and like to test your mods using the live stream audience? You're more than welcome to let me know down below in the comment section, and I'll keep an eye on those to see whether there's interest in that sort of a thing. Always happy to hear everybody's suggestions down below. Anyways, our red team leader gearing up for a little bit of a frontline engagement. Honestly, a very passive start of the game right here. Purple commander going up against the yellow comm up here, the Juji, as well as Wirenut, going to be clashing heads here. And frankly, I wouldn't have minded a little bit more aggression. The purple commander is way more pawns than necessary to take down these incisors. As long as the trade is semi-decent, even halfway decent, things are going to look pretty good for the pawn commander, but not the case here, as we will have reinforcements making their way up. And it looks like eventually, Order of Chaos, the brown commander, will be supporting up here as well. Wow, really hard to tell the difference between those brown units and the yellow units on this, I don't know, this grayscale background and everything. Yeah, it becomes very difficult to see. Oh, cheeky, cheeky. We'll flip the camera around here to see that a couple of these pawns have actually split off to do a little damage around the side. Very nicely done by the purple commander. Pulling a little bit of attention from the front line. We also have pawns moving in this direction. You know what? They break the front line, so they're going to have the opportunity to do a little bit of damage. These ones as well, they do get through. They're going to encounter some reinforcing forces, and that incisor will clean up at least one of those pawns. And I think with the army coming backwards, we will see an excellent little catch here. One mechs? Nope. One mechs doesn't go down. We have the red commander taking a couple of hits, though. A couple of rocket bots are actually caught here. A very, very wonderful timing for the purple commander. Catches the red commander just as those rocket bots were transitioned into, and it meant that there was a solid couple of seconds there where there was a huge opportunity path. And, well, it looks like WireNut did manage to take it. Now we're into the main base here. Metal extractor should be the primary target. This 3.2 looks extra juicy, but of course solar panels are not a bad target here either. Targeting that energy production, no wind on this map, so it's not like there's any other option other than those very expensive and very difficult to build solar panels. Huge build cost on those as well. Not something that we always talk about, but it is important to remember, as well as a bunch of mechs is going down. Okay. All said and done, a beautiful engagement right there, and you can see the purple army is basically completely rebuilt, so not really losing too much, gaining a little bit of traction, not against his own opponent, but saving Nova Dreadnought at the very least from a kind of an awkward situation. Okay. Northern side heating up, a very aggressive expansion here for Zenatio, the Pink Commander, Pink Legion Commander. No units. Lookmon, no units. Looks like at one point we had a couple of those plasma lobbers up on the front line, but nowadays we are, I guess, transitioning into rocket bots? Yeah, okay, lack of build power right here. Oh, that burns. So much metal coming into the bank right here, and not any way to spend it. The Pink Commander needs more build power in this laboratory, but we just don't have it. And now the, well, green and cyan forces are starting to whittle away at this front line. Goes to show how ineffective that T1 static defense becomes almost immediately. Like, it is almost not worth it to build LLTs, except for to catch run-bys, because on the front line, essentially anything is going to blast down those LLTs before they find any value whatsoever. Even the lobber goes down. Yikes. Not the most expensive unit in the world, but it does suck to lose them. I mean, any unit you don't trade out for any value is a loss, ultimately. Commander, with a decent D-gun right there. Catches a couple of the units. Some blitzes in the firing range here as well. Loads of energy for this commander, actually. So, enough energy to fire out those D-guns. But boom goes the Pink Commander, our first kill of the day. I believe the others were sacrificed for tech changes here. And we will see Salheim, the Green Commander, moving southward here to try and intercept. A couple of shell shockers firing high into the air. Ultimately, though, a very passive start here, I will say. These commanders not eager to choke each other to death. They're not trying to, you know, back alley, what is it, knife fight in a phone booth, sort of get into each other's grill. Everybody kind of taking their sweet time to build up these armies right here before brawling. It is understandable, right? It's a gamble because you never really know exactly what your opponent has or if they have enough to stop your push. One of those game sense things that really... it comes with time. We are walling off this northern side. Okay, so Nova Dreadnought and Learning to Aim apparently have come to a ceasefire. They've, they've agreed that they're no longer going to be engaging in each other. They've come to a treatise here. We're just going to go ahead and set up our walls. Reinforcing with maces and then walling yourself in is such a funny juxtaposition there for the red commander. Bet you never thought you'd heard that, or you'd hear rather that word outside of your English literature class. There you go. Take that one home to your teachers. Shell shockers being annoying here, but ultimately these are overrun quite easily. This is actually a very easy army to overwhelm. We just need a whole bunch of pawns or grunts. A couple of blitzes in the mix might make that slightly more difficult, but ultimately, yeah, not a difficult composition to break right here. We just need the right units. That is one of those things that I feel like I see a lot of newer players making the mistake of, is if you see your enemy going for a unit, just going for the exact same unit and trying to counter it. If you're already behind, then you need the hard counter to that unit, not necessarily the same numbers of the unit. There's a couple other options, of course, like resbots, but ultimately that is going to be your best bet 9 out of 10 times. Shuriken here doing a fabulous job of blasting these away. The AA on these missile trucks, of course, dependent on them not firing at the other units. So for the fact that they're firing at these rocket bots, it means that the Shuriken do get a little bit more value. Ultimately, not a bad job right there, yeah. Warner casually walking forward. This army can't really attack this Green Commander unless he steps too far forward and those blitzes can get engaged. You might have degunned them already, though. Shuriken en masse, paralyzing whatever they can. A slow start to the air battle here as well. As we do the orange and yellow, or tan commander rather, going out and claiming all of these metal extractors around the map. We also have all these ones around the side of the map, which would be very nice to claim. See, there are some juicy ones. There's some 1.7s out there floating in space. Okay. Medium tanks now on the field. This represents our first significant technology change. We do have T2 coming up, well, already up in the backline here. The blue commander going to go ahead and upgrade some of those mechs to T2, hopefully reclaiming the T1 solar panels in order to pay for some more elaborate T2 expenditures as well. And indeed, we also have a T2 lab coming up in the back here for the orange commander, who's going to be going into some good old-fashioned T2 aeroplanes. We actually have a T2 lab, bot lab, and then transitioned out of and back into a T1 and then T2 air lab. So a little bit of tech switching going on over here. We need the energy for it, and that's why we're building all these advanced solar panels. Of course, eating up the regular solar panels can help fund all that, as I was saying just previously. This is gonna be difficult to hold here, though. He who builds the resbot shall reap the reclaim. Ooh, killer deacon from Warner. Okay. Well, there goes the entire pink army, or at least the southern segment of it. Yeah, okay. Warner just getting probably about 800 metal worth of D-gun. Maybe not that much. Probably about 600 metal worth of D-gun immediately. Oh, look at that. Mosquito gunships coming out to save the day. Warner paying a steep price for it, and boom goes the green commander as well in the front line sneak attack from the Mosquito gunships. Those T1 Legion gunships that do pack a punch for their cost. And they managed to, at the very least, make a $1,250 trade. One that I'm certain any commander would be glad to eat up here. You can see the difference in taking that fight 1v1 versus 2v1 here, though, as the Marine Commander is ultimately forced offline just by sheer force of numbers. There's been no reclaim, there's been no resbots, there's been no finesse to this battle. It's just been building a gauntlet or two in the backline and pushing with a whole bunch of units and teammates. It is as simple as it gets, but surprisingly effective, because at the end of the day, Beyond No Reason really is just a numbers game. Okay. T2 reinforcements hitting the field. We have a couple of hoplites, the fast raider bots for the Legion faction, strolling in one by one. Not typically what you want to do. You want to bunch these up a little bit here, but it's not the end of the world, of course. If they can snag some kills here, that'd be nice. Going for the constructor, not a bad idea, but losing these on the other side is effectively also throwing metal down the drain. Yikes. Maybe an overestimate of exactly how powerful these hoplites are. They're good. They're not going to win you the game all on their own. They need a little bit of support, and they need a little bit of control. Love the continued use of the Shuriken. At the very least, those have been able to find some value. And that's always a lovely thing. Those are one of the several comeback mechanics in the early and mid-game of Beyond No Reason. So I'm glad to see that those are finding some value. Shell Shockers, of course, able to hit stationary targets quite a bit easier. And that's exactly what Shuriken do. They're the fastest way to convert a bunch of metal into a bunch of stationary targets. Spy bots, I suppose, being the second best option. Although nowadays they've been significantly nerfed, and I would hesitate to call them effective. You get 8 seconds of paralyzation for like 27,000 energy or something like that. It's ridiculous. They're terrible. Much better off going for a paralyzer, the EMP missile from the Armada T2 constructor, if you can find one. Otherwise, Shuriken are going to be the best bet. Centurion, idly standing by here. If there's one thing to take away from this battle, it's to keep it moving. Red Force is continuing to swarm in numbers. We've begun to upgrade to the T2 mexes, but we've just continued to pump out the maces, which means effectively we're going to have 4 times as many maces on the front line. That's not a bad situation per se, but it is a little bit of a funny one, because as these Hounds and T2 units, especially these Quakers, with their AoE, they're going to do wonderful work against all those maces that are nicely grouped up right here. So I think learning to aim is about to learn a very brutal lesson on the difference between T1 and T2. Hoplites making very effective work of this southern side here, I will say it. Love to see a couple resbots once more injected into this mixture, just to make sure that everything gets reclaimed and at the very least sent back to our T2 players, or of course resurrected and used to fight once more. No sign of T2 yet from either of these two commanders, the lime green or dark green. So it does mean resurrecting is still a semi-valuable option. Resbot does go down here for the lion or cyan commander. Light blue. Yeah, okay. Mexes fall too. Big old engagement up here, but loads more medium tanks for the green commander than the maroon. The shell shockers just firing up and into the air. I mean, look how beautiful that is, right? It's a waterfall. a waterfall of artillery pieces firing up into the air at each other. Mosquitoes latch onto a bunch of these medium tanks. Not the end of the world for those tanks. Those mosquitoes don't do that much damage. And of course, with the missile trucks to support with anti-air, not going to be the end of the world here. Still, Sailheim not getting as much out of that trade as I think probably wanted to. If all this metal went back to the Green Commander, it probably would have been perfect. However, most of that metal is still lying on the field here in control of the Maroon Hero. How much metal do we have in total? I can feel the amount of metal lying on the field rising my blood pressure as we speak. Nearly, what is that, 9,000 metal? Oh, well, there's even more here. Yeah, about 9,000 metal worth of reclaim on the field. Whoever so manages to get it all obviously has the giant upper hand. T2 units pushing forward. They've already broken the line quite dramatically. Quakers here also dismantling this front line of the Yellow Commander. Loads of build power, but those Tiger tanks will eat that up for breakfast. Quakers, of course, lovely for dismantling this static defense here. Even the medium towers, the twin guards here, are going to be no match for these Quakers. They just do so much damage at so much range. It's kind of ridiculous. Also kind of beautiful to watch. The dismantling of the T1 by their older brothers. Hounds firing away here as well. Hounds a little bit fallen from grace. They used to be very popular. Nowadays they're sort of very meh. And we've forgotten the anti-air. A tale as old as time here as the Shuriken once again finds some value. Rocketbot's trying their very best. Oh, they managed to kill one of them. Okay. Yeah, plasma bots. Wow, you know what? Those ground-based bots did way better than I expected them to. Eventually, Shuriken are pushed back, but really, more importantly, the T2 units are pushed back. Okay. Now, the Hounds are not as good as they once were, but they still can be effective, and especially if they're taking this fight against T1. It's one of the things I'll say about Armada is they have a couple of different options that are very good against T1, T2 versus T1. However, they're quite a bit worse against their T2 counterparts, right? So Hounds pale in comparison to the might of the Sheldon. And then, of course, they have things like the Sprinter, which is nowhere near as good as the Fiend, but it is quite good against T1 medium tanks because of their speed and range. And then they have things like the Gunslinger, which likewise are also very good against T1 medium tanks, but effectively just because of their impulse. They're not really numerically very good against basically anything else. Salamanders attacking the Hounds, but the Hounds retreating to the safety of their circle. It's an anti-salamander circle. Effective up to several salamander. Fat boy on the field here for the Red Commander. Okay, we do have a T2 addressal here. Eventually underway. Wow, ambitious. We've got a Zeiston, the long-range rail cannon coming up right here. This is a very aggressively placed cannon, considering fighters are just a mere hop, skip, and a jump away. But if this comes up, and it looks like it will, we only have, what, 16 seconds left on that bad boy? Gonna be super annoying to deal with. This has insane accuracy out to extreme range. It's super, super difficult to deal with. And of course, very excellent at sniping those big single heavy targets like bombers and whatnot. Mesa's somewhat surprising to me, finding some value here. I don't think that's a bad thing. Certainly the Red Commander is going to be thrilled that they finally managed to find something to do. Destroying these walls so they can get through a little easier might be the right move. A truck built a little late. T1 seeping through the cracks here. It is a lot of army. To be fair, that's 9,000 metal worth of army, which is, yeah, infinitely more than we see on the front lines here now. Bunch of Marauder coming out of the laboratory here for the Blue Commander. That'll be more than enough to clean all this up. Oh, the Quakers, though. Oh, those Quakers. Beautiful catch from the Quakers, firing down onto that low ground like that. Boom, boom, boom. All those big AoE heavy impulse shots landing in the middle of all those beautiful T1 units. That is what we're looking for. It doesn't get much juicier than that. And just like that, all of the Mesas have gone. Out of curiosity, I wonder how much metal is left. So that was about 4,000 metal of the composition was Mesas. Completely obliterated there. Just in time for the Marauders to arrive, actually. We've gone right on up to T3. Wow, look at that. We're going for a Tyrannis, the Flying Kinetic Multi-Weapon Fortress. It's a very expensive piece of kit, clocking in at 5,600 metal, a true T3 unit out of the air. We also have these AA turrets set up and running. They've, I mean, yeah, effectively cleared the airspace. There's not a lot the blue team can do now to park units in the middle. They're just going to get shot at over and over and over. There's not really, I mean, those are very difficult to kill is what I'm trying to say. Artillery, counter-artillery has been set up here, but huge hits overall. Marauder looking for the right angle here, and I think these Quaker are exactly that. Oh, we wanted to come in from the side angle there. Oh, okay, we're retreating. Yep, go ahead. Go for the... Okay. The push is a little bit chaotic, but eventually we do manage to get something like an effective trade here. In fact, I think only one of the Marauders have died so far, yeah. One Marauder for all those Quakers, absolutely well and away worth it. Just like that, the blue team is taking complete control over this northern side. The light anti-air attached to those Marauders is going to be very helpful for shooting down some of those enemy fighters, or at least damaging them slightly. The air commander here for the blue team. Non-existent, it would seem. Micatron, still considering making units here. We're up to 5,000 metal in the bank and pondering what the next unit out of the laboratory should be. Cutting back to the Marauders now, they've managed to hit the yellow base. At the very least, they've gotten to the base. They haven't quite hit it yet. Anti-air taking out the Shuriken. Looks like we will eventually shoot down all the last of the Shuriken. E-converters go. T1 E-converters, that is. Tyrannis is here. That's a rough sight, seeing the Tyrannis like that. All of a sudden, things things start to look very, very dangerous. Yeah. The Tyrannis represents a huge amount of firepower that can be effectively anywhere on the map. You can imagine one of those Tyrannis sneaking around the sides of the map and then into your backline can be very, very dangerous. Looks like the blue commander's gone ahead and gone for some air forces here. It's a wise decision after noting that your air player hasn't really been building much. Yep. Gonna go back into air here. Did we? Oh, we actually had a lever. That makes sense. Oh, okay. Micatron innocent here, actually. Unless this was the commander that left. I'm not entirely sure. Doesn't say in the spectators. They've already thrown in the towel and left the game entirely. Either way, it means, yeah, Air Forces is a little distracted now, having to control a front line. So good to see that the blue commander is working on getting this up and running. We also have a AA turret firing away here at the constructors as they slowly drift a little too close to the side of the island there. Strangely enough, the anti-air tower came up, but then the T2 metal extractor, I suppose, was just barely too close. Nice connections from that fat boy. It does manage to put some serious hurt on those heavy tanks. Welder's going to come in for the assist. Might actually just barely be enough. Just barely, the fat boy goes down. One or two volleys away from surviving that. And now we have the Tyrannis, the king of the battlefield, flying its way forward, firing away with those multiple kinetic kill weapons. Plasma cannons, as well as the machine guns. Oh, don't tell me we're just going to throw it away. No, we want to keep this. Oh. Oftentimes you will want to try and keep your $5,000 aerial investment up in the air, repairing it as well as you can, or otherwise just making sure to kill the flak trucks, primarily. A bummer. A bummer to say the very least. All said and done, I don't think the 2 or 3 heavy tanks that it killed probably got the value it was looking for in the Tyrannis. Fighters now flying overhead here. We have those T2 Legion
Commander
fighters, which are quite
destroyed.
good. There's a commander down. A heavy tanks pushing in. More interest in these Marauder. Oh, there we go. Built power pops. Solar panels in trouble. Bulls and Tigers working in tandem here to try and kill what's left of these Marauder. So many solar panels have gone down. About a third of the total solar energy here for the yellow commander. Seafoam Green continuing the advancement. The But we now have T3 hitting the field. Finally, the T3 reinforcements arrive. Those Marauder have been ravaging this front for a good minute. But now finally we have the Praetorian. Can it do what it needs to in order to clean all this up? Well, let's have a look. One of the issues with the Praetorian is that it has a whole bunch of different weapons. So it's very, very effective across a bunch of different fields. But it doesn't excel in any one area. At least in this case, though. Seems to be doing a good job of laying the herd down on these units. Obviously, the shotguns get very effective at close range. So it really wants to be up on the grill of the enemy here. Which is interesting, because it's also got the plasma weaponry, which works at a range. It's also got anti-air, which makes it quite good for pushing into enemy lines, doing a bunch of damage that way. A very bizarre unit, to say the least. It lost its napalm missiles, which is a little bit of a bummer. That was one of those iconic things about this unit, but no longer. Marauders on the southern side, making another push, and my goodness, up the Waz, making a brilliant showcase this game. Finding value across the field in every direction, across every front line that is available here. You can see the fronts collapsing inward as more and more of these units do make their way forward. Medium tanks actually managing to get on the arquebus here is kind of unfortunate. Those arquebus are meant to be up on a cliffside or otherwise just hidden away as much as possible. But the T2 lab goes down for the Maroon Commander Warmaw, and the Marauder managed to steal the show. Maybe an unfair thing to say. Marauders often steal the show. They are one of those units that is always very powerful just for their speed, low cost, and relative durability for their cost levels. Hoplite, single hoplite, masquerading as a Marauder here as well. With enough light anti-air even to shoot down gunships, it does mean they're quite difficult to kill here as the air player. Ooh, the killer D-gun manages to take out about 5 of them. Oh. Trying to get another sneaky D-gun, but the Blue Commander will not have it. The Tyrannis up in the air trying to clear these out as well. And you know what? With their miniguns, they can do a lot of damage. It's a close call. Eventually, they're popped. Oh, just barely before the build power is. Okay. The Marauder is no more. The Tyrannis, King of the Skies, now in 5. Will we see a resurgence in their prowess, or will we be throwing them into the flag charts once more? Is my overwhelming question. A whole bunch of Karkinos, the dual, what is it, medium dual weapon infantry bot. Very curious fellow. Scorpion turret set up over here to try and deal with the Marauder onslaught. I don't mind it. It's kind of what you have to do. It's just the best option of the T2 defenses when you're on a limited T2 economy.
Commander,
some nice
destroyed.
D-guns there so far, but eventually the commander goes down. One more on the board, and it does mean this front line is effectively reduced to cinders. The yellow commander's base, that is, and the Praetorian have had nothing to say about it. A lot of Marauder corpses, though, so I like to see the res bots out here in Storm trying to pick those back up. Bulls also not bad against the Marauder, it would seem. Yeah. A little bit of a scout going on here. We have, wow, loads of APHIS. The Pink Commander not messing around with the economy right here, as we've got dual APHIS production on the back line here. We've got 500 metal per second, and of course the Orange Commander has also gotten into quite a stellar economy. Loads of fighters going down. Oh no. The AA. Oh, the AA getting beautiful connections right there. Not sure if it can pierce or if it just fires and can target a little bit of a clump. Ooh, that is brutal. Okay, well, that center island has become a bastion of aerial superiority. Just like that, literally all of the fighters have gone down. Zeiston's continuing to demolish what's left of those figs here as well, and now we finally have the opportunity to move the Tyrannis in. This is exactly what we've been waiting for. This is the opportunity. We need to make use of it very quickly. The units are encroaching.
Commander, destroyed.
Praetorians on this side doing the best they can to defend. We've got Turtles of all things. Interesting to see. Turtles actually not that bad of a unit. They once were. Nowadays they've got a little anti-air thing in their rear quarters. They're pretty nice, I would say. There they are. Slowly floating their way towards the enemy side of things here. Micatron in a little bit of trouble. Most of these bases have some kind of anti-air, but frankly, the Tyrannis anti-air is pretty strong, and with 5 of them, well, they can take on a lot. Mentioned defensive fighters here, helping out a whole bunch as well. Not even a single Tyrannis goes down. Shows you the difference between T1 and
destroyed.
T2. As those T1 fakes just barely managed to bring down one of those Tyrannis, as 4 more make it towards the back line. All of a sudden, the blue commander left with a terrible option. What are we going to do against these Tyrannis? Well, I guess there's not really many options. No AA out of the T3, the build power pops here, and all of a sudden Tyrannis are in the back line. Please don't lose these killing the Aphis. That's the one ask I have. So we go ahead and kill those Aphis by pulling one of these away and trying to blow the Aphis stack without damaging the Tyrannis. It's not going to happen, of course, but at the very least, they do take out the blue commander, who represents the majority of the eco here. Ooh, okay. And their dying breath take out the build power and E-converters here for the Seafoam green commander as well. That's actually huge, too. Okay. Well, now this red eco spam is going to be tremendous. We've got the Soul Invictus, 23,500 metal, 615,000 experimental thermal ordnance mech. And maybe we'll flip around so we can see him a little better. Rolling off the laboratory here. Soul Invictus, ready to burn. It's got those dual shoulder-mounted cannons as well as the riot cannons on each arm. A beautiful and dangerous unit, one that invokes fear wherever it is found. Wasp gunships trying to shut down these marauder as they come in towards the base right here. They're not bad. There's just not enough of them. Yeah. Killing a couple of these marauder here and there. It's, again, not the end of the world. We do have a Soul Invictus trying to clean this up, but it is just desperately outpaced by these. Tyrannis in the air also firing away here. A lot of firepower to clean this up, but those marauder are so quick. They can get to the enemy base so fast. Build power does pop. Is it enough? I don't think so. Stegan right there. Astology in position. And loads more of these marauder are left on the field right here, ripe for the reclaim. Now the Soul Invictus are rolling onto the front, and they really can hold the front line entirely on their own. They have so much firepower. Not to mention, of course, those sweeping beams are perfect for dealing with lighter chaff. I think it's time to go for some bomber or something like that. Yeah, we've got the entire midsection of the map locked down. It's time that we start going for some of the other options here. We have the Phoenix, of course, that heavy assault heat ray bomber. Fires a big continuous beam of heat energy down onto the ground. Very, very dangerous. We also have the mine layer bomber, which can be quite powerful too, at dealing a big burst of damage to a single target. Or a tightly grouped cluster of targets. We'll sail him, actually. Comes in for the D-gun. There it is. D-gun's away right there, and the Soul Invictus is murdered. Okay. It's one way to clean up your front line right there. That's one of the reasons why, of course, this spam that we see coming out from the green commander is so important. Getting that spam out on the field helps prevent commanders from sneaking into your backline and destroying all your hopes and dreams. Or rather, getting underfoot of your very expensive T3 units. This is a nasty fat boy push. The incinerator here with loads of HP and tons of range firing away at a distance. The Tyrannis actually providing a bunch of vision here. It will eventually fall though. One of those issues that Tyrannis tend to suffer from is the fact that they're very inaccurate. So when dealing with a single target, sometimes they can have trouble. As said before, though, it is a numbers game, and at this point we are up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these Tyrannis, with many more on the way, certainly. And that's where you start to look very, very dangerous. Starting to get up to those numbers where they are self-sufficient. Big old battles coming on over here. Oh, beautiful. T1 being obliterated by the bull spam. The Centurion never knew what hit them. They weren't even being commanded. The brown and yellow commanders now pushing forward with whatever they can. Marauders, heavy tanks, you name it.
Commander destroyed.
Commander goes down. Wow. After what looked like a very rough situation here for the red team, they've actually managed to put up wonderful hurt here on the blue. Taking out that backline eco is tremendous, of course, and now, I mean, the blue commander's been trying to rebuild with the T2 con, but there's only so much you can do in so little time. Tyrannis here, yeah, hunting down the commander. You can degun these. You have to click on the Tyrannis themselves. Yep, there we go.
Commander
there we go.
has died.
Degun on a couple of those Tyrannis, not before the commander
Commander
can kill,
has died.
or rather before the commander is killed. What a beautiful turnaround here. Fusion reactor's in trouble. CFO Green Commander loses it. A little bit of marauder fire. Build power collapses as well. Oh, 98, 99%. The Juggernaut just 5 seconds away. 4, 3, 2, 1. Lives. Born just in time for the base around it to explode, but at the very least, the Juggernaut will be a difficult threat to bypass. Doing a good amount of damage against a whole bunch of these bulls and whatnot. Okay. Soul Invictus, likewise here on this side. You can see when those heat ray cannons are focused, they can melt down these units very quickly. With enough impulse there to hit even the heaviest of units, yeah. Soul Invictus is a dangerous powerhouse. What's Cloak again? The answer is the letter K. Bastion's here firing away, doing a little bit of damage against the Invictus, melting it a percent or so, probably 2% per second, something like that. The Bulls here, not entirely stopped by the Juggernaut. Juggernaut gone to meet its maker. Picking on someone his own size, certainly here. You can see the Soul Invictus blasting off a couple percent, probably a percent per second right there from the Juggernaut. With those riot cannons firing as well, a little bit of extra damage. The shotgun cannon's quite good from the Juggernaut. This is a awesome face-off. One of those clashes everyone wants to know the answer to, and boom goes the Juggernaut, who of course was slightly damaged beforehand, but we don't have to think about it. Soul Invictus takes it, of course, with these dual heat ray cannons, which make up for a wonderful cinematic as it destroys the Juggernaut into nuclear overload. A lot of Martyr up in the air here. Bulls finally making it around and into the base. Ooh, a bunch of cloaked fusion reactors right there. Revealed and then destroyed. Solar panels in trouble here as well. This base is toast. Looking for whatever they can. Yeah, I'm gonna settle for some e-converters and whatnot. Not the end of the world. Okay. Our red heroes, ladies and gentlemen, have absolutely far and away taken the cake here. There he is, the last commander here for the blue team. It's Joe Borowski.
Commander
Does
has died.
finally fall. A beautiful counter push and a wonderful, excellent, well, yeah, both of those things game here for the red team. Love this little center island. I want to say this is probably
Battle
what went ahead
ended.
and won this match here for the red team. Thanks a ton for watching this low-level match of Beyond All Reason, and I hope you enjoyed. And I hope to see you again in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.